Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Area 51.
Hey Rahul.
Yeah, we
What's
made
up,
it to
man?
episode 2, man.
Woo! It's a long time coming.
I know. We actually had 26 people listen to our first episode.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
19 of them from US. But there are 3 countries that actually surprised me. We had 2 people tune in from Portugal, one
wow.
from Spain, and wait for it, okay? Oh, there's one person, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but one person from Serbia.
Wow.
Serbia.
Okay, so somebody is definitely interested in the US immigration system or crimes by immigrants.
Crimes, I know. It just, I mean, a few of my friends who heard it, they were like pretty fascinated with what they heard. And that just made me realize how underrepresented Indian crimes are in the United States. I mean, any true crime TV show you look at, a typical setting, you're going to see different factions. You're going to see, a bunch of white guys working out, a big bunch of black guys playing basketball. I mean, no one's ever seen a bunch of Indians playing cricket, right?
Yeah.
Saying I was at and running back and forth. No one's really seen that. So everyone's pretty fascinated to know that we actually commit crimes here, apart from like coding and solving computer issues.
I think the closest ever representation that I remember was an episode on The Office. I don't know if you've seen it, where like they Kelly Kapoor,
Diwali?
The Diwali episode by Mindy Kaling. Oh man, that was like, and surprisingly, I think that was back in 2008 or 10 or something like that. So it was pretty surprising to see such a thing like at that time. And obviously, we have done more, Indian immigrant diaspora folks, especially in the US,
Right.
who are popular, not just in Hollywood. So it's good.
Have you seen Big Bang Theory? Because I think they've briefly scratched the surface in when Raj talks about his immigration issues, and they don't really delve into it. I think if they had, it would have given them episodes worth of comedic content. Like Raj, like I'll be 45 when I get my green card or something like that. He briefly talks about H-1B or work visa and stuff like that, but the writers didn't really actually dissect that and get into the meat of it. But I think it was after Office, the next instance that I remember was Big Bang Theory.
Oh, right. Yeah. I totally forgot about that character. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, in their defense, I mean, how old is Big Bang Theory? When is the last episode?
I was in high school when it started. So
at least like 20.
It stopped, I think, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
The last season was, I think, 4 or 5 when Jim Parsons decided to just randomly quit. And everyone else was blindsided.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would have been on like season 22 or something. Beaten Supernatural. Or
yes.
Grey's Anatomy.
The greatest TV show ever, by the way. Supernatural.
or Grey's Anatomy. Like,
oh, yeah.
There's like episode 24 or something going on, dude. It's insane.
It's season 24.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. Season 24 going on. Season 24.
Yeah.
She started off as an actor. Now she produces the show. That's how much she's grown.
Maybe at some point we'll have some TV shows about H-1B visas as well. We'll do that part. Yep.
You never know.
All right. Back to topic. So since we had a lot of crimes, turned out we couldn't fit it all in one episode, and now we are continuing that on episode 2 of crimes by Indian immigrants in the United States. So what's the first one, or rather
the first one? Well, pretty classic case of racism. We've got an Indian American in Fremont, California. You lived in Fremont, right? Or was it
somewhere in California? In Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So an Indian American from Fremont, California. His name was Krishnan Jayaraman.
Okay.
He was hungry, decided to grab some food. And was at a fast food establishment when, out of the blue, one random guy just came up to him and started insulting him. Called him a dirty Hindu. Called him someone who bathes in cow urine. What? And he's like, "Oh, you don't eat beef, right?" And then he turns around to the staff there and he's like, "Give me a beef burrito. Everything in beef."
What the hell? Which restaurant was this, by the way?
You want to take a wild guess if you knew enough clues. Fast food burrito.
I'm going to go for Taco Bell.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner.
It is like the de facto restaurant for any Indian person in the US.
Right,
Oh
right. So
man.
and the funny thing is, he's like, "Oh, you're a dirty Hindu. You can only eat a bean burrito." Then he proceeds to take out a couple of dollars. Like, is this enough for your bean burrito? And he proceeds to like wave it around that guy's face.
What the
But the funny thing is, the guy who's doing all the trash talking, okay, who's insulting Krishnan, that guy's
Okay.
name is Tejinder Singh.
What? Oh my god, that is
Another
just
Indian
crazy.
American covered in tattoos who was at Taco Bell too, and he just looks at Krishnan and he's like, "Oh, why you wearing slippers or sandals? Why you not wearing socks? Do this in India, not here." And what's interesting is he's actually really well aware of his history or our history. He's like, "Oh, Indira Gandhi is this, Indira Gandhi is that. You're the reason why." The East India Company took over India, and then he's like, "You're on H1B," and I was like, wow, that is a very well-aware racist. It was pretty shocking to know that he knew what an H would be, or he knew about East India Company and Indira Gandhi and all that. So, but this dude, Krishnan, right? He just kept quiet, just quietly standing there. He recorded the whole thing. We got about 8 minutes of content. Then the police came and arrested this dude.
Oh, okay, nice. Well, in all probability, like the amount of Indian folks who live in Fremont, it's probably an Indian policeman as well. It's a pretty huge Indian population there in Fremont. Like,
dude, I've met an Indian cop, dude, in Houston.
Oh wow, cool.
I was crashing at my friend's place. Okay, I just moved to Houston, about to start my new job. Okay. My apartment was a couple of days from being ready, so I was staying in my friend's house. We both stepped out to the airport to drop another friend who was visiting. We come back, the house is clean. I lost my PlayStation. I lost my personal laptop. My office laptop. They're just giving it to me. I lost it in like 2-3 days. I was like, who is this dumbass who can't even hold on to a laptop? And we call the cops in panic. Okay, this dude comes. His name is Sheikh. He's from Kerala.
What?
He didn't sound like Indian. He's like, "Oh, don't worry, us Desi folks, we have a lot of gold at home." He's like, our house was burgled once. And I was like, "Oh shit." I was like, "Did you guys get it? Find all your stuff back?" He's like, "No." Then I was like, okay, if a cop can't find his things after it's been stolen, there's no way I'm going to get my PS4 back.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Pretty traumatizing week that was.
That must have been terrible.
But yeah, I've met a Desi cop. Okay,
that is pretty rare. At least in my experience, I've never heard of or even met somebody like that.
Not even California.
Cool. Not in SoCal, at least.
Is that the? I don't know enough about California. Is that the rich part of California? I don't know. It's just shot in the dark.
No, it's just the equivalent of like when folks say they're from New England or whatever. Southern California is like called as SoCal, and like Northern California, like San Francisco, that part is.
So from SoCal, you came to New England. Yes, I'm sensing a pattern here, Sanjay. You are racist.
I go to places. Maybe. Well, I'm racist against Idlis. I hate it, but
Idlis.
Yeah, not a big fan.
Okay, we just lost like 70% of the South Indian community listening to this.
I mean, okay, I'll be honest. I'm starting to like Idlis now just because I've lived away from home for so long. I used to hate the thing as a kid, but like nowadays, it's like, you know what?
When they say too much of a good thing,
Yeah, exactly. So
I went home after a long time, and my mom gave me like dosas for a week, and I was so excited to eat it. I would like go to sleep at night thinking tomorrow morning I'll get a dosa, But before I left for US, I hated that shit, dude. I'm like, oh, why are we doing this? I need a burger,
Oh wow, you went there. That was
give me some waffles or something. Or give me what is this dosa every day? Now I'm like, please, just some dosa with some chutney. Oh my god, I'll kill people for that.
But I think there's a lot better Indian food scene here on the East Coast than it was.
Well, New York, New Jersey for sure, but not, and Boston maybe. Rhode Island not so much, I think.
Yeah.
Houston was the bomb, dude.
Oh yeah,
amazing.
Definitely.
Dallas too. Oh my god, every corner you'll find like 10 restaurants.
Speaking of which, like I was thinking about this person who was insulting this guy and saying like, oh, you don't eat beef and stuff. I feel there's this huge misconception about Indian folks. Like, we both are from the state of Kerala, and where beef is like such a normal part of our cuisine. Right? Like you think that, and every time I have to explain somebody, and like if I'm going out, with colleagues and like having dinner or lunch, and like, oh, do you eat meat or beef? I'm like, and then I go up explain this entire things. Like, India is a very diverse place. Like, and in our culture, we eat pork and beef and stuff. It's not like entirety of the country runs on vegetarian food.
I think that's a big divide too, even in India. I mean, I went to Bangalore, right? Some of the
Yeah.
super religious folks, like, literally happened. One of the guys who picked me up, Uber, okay, he
Okay.
started talking to me and on about, these people, oh, they eat beef. If they open a beef shop in the main road, we'll go beat them up. So
Good
in
God.
Bangalore, if you need to open a restaurant that has beef and all these, like, I don't know how true that is, but that's the mentality. And it's
Yeah.
not, politics really hasn't helped it. It's I read this in Kerala once. BJP is trying to, they had a campaign or something to spread awareness of not eating beef and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I
So
think
wait,
some other
I'm
party
gonna
there.
I'm gonna pause you for a bit just to give context to our listeners who don't know what the BJP is. It's the Bharatiya Janata Party, and they currently are the ruling government in India. And yeah, sorry, I interjected.
Oh,
But
no,
just
no, no, no problem. And then,
yeah.
so they're doing a campaign to spread awareness about how wrong it is to eat beef. And there's another party, okay,
Okay.
in the same surroundings, like right next to them, they throw a beef festival. With like cooking 10, 50 different varieties of different recipes of beef right next to this. So it's like,
Okay.
that's how polarizing, the place is. You've got
So
so many extremes in India.
one crazy incident happened. My dad is a big BJP supporter. Like he's like crazy about like the current prime minister. You might as well like put a photo of him and
Who
like
isn't?
pray to Modi. And the weird thing is like he keeps complaining like the governments in Kerala, whether it's like the two major parties that all the time they switch power. They're like the BJP must come here. It's really bad, these two parties. And most of the time we have these conversations. It's when we are eating porota and beef. He'll be like, oh my. So the irony there was like a little too funny to me when I first saw that.
That is a big divide though between
Yeah.
the northern and the southern states, and even between some people in the southern states, where the meat you eat determines if you are a friend or a foe.
I'm trying to think like when I used to visit Bangalore, like we used to like have friends who would have these dealers who'd sell them weed,
Dealers.
yeah, no, dealers for weed. Now
My weed dealer sells beef now.
yeah.
Two contraband substances, but if you get caught with weed, you can still live.
Just imagine asking the guy like, "Hey, you got some beef on you, bro?"
My friends in Bangalore were telling me they don't even use the word weed and drugs and all these things, because the police actually stop them and randomly go through their messages in traffic.
What the
It
hell?
happened to it. 2-3 people told me out of the blue. They're like, we don't say weed anymore, because
So what is it?
or pod or
Grass?
something. They use like random words, because once one guy was on a bike. They stopped him and they looked at his phone and there's everything, weed, acid, whatever it is, all to another guy is talking like, and then they're like, who's this guy? It turned out to be the guy sitting behind him. I think the cops didn't do much because they didn't have anything on it. They let them go, but it's a big thing. They actually go through your messages randomly in a traffic stop. So I mean, it's no wonder that Aryan Khan was like caught and sent to prison for like carrying like a joint. But that's how Bangalore is, and I was pretty surprised because it's a pretty hip city, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. I was about to
Bangalore's a pretty
say
hip
that. Like,
city.
yeah, Bangalore is one of the more progressive places. Like,
Yeah, but all these things happen on the side too. It was my trip after 5 years was pretty eye opening, dude. Learned a lot of cool things like this.
oh, like you're one of those NRIs who went like, oh, this is not how we do things in America. Like, we have freedom.
Certain states.
Yeah. Or certain visa categories. Speaking of which,
That's a nice segue back to topic, Sanjay.
Yeah.
Sanjay is like the official protection against digressing from the topic too much.
And the point is, I actually want people to listen to our podcast because
Oh.
we did claim that we did claim that we would talk about some of the stuff, right?
That was a slap back to reality. Okay. On that note, I think we can go on to the next one.
Yeah.
Right. So after that very interesting hate crime, we're moving on to our next one on the list, which is by this Indian American known as Narsan Lingala. So Narsan Lingala and his girlfriend Sandhya Reddy, okay, they tried to commit a crime, and they went through a very innovative way to get it done too. So Narsan apparently didn't get along with his ex-wife, and he didn't want to pay alimony and child support and all the good stuff that comes after a divorce. Okay. So his most innovative solution of getting out of it was to kill her. Okay. So he and his girlfriend Sandhya decided to hire a hitman to take out his wife. The only catch in this otherwise brilliant plan was that the hitman called Manny turned out to be an undercover police officer. And now they're both arrested in jail. I think the sentence was passed, and I think they're in jail right now. So that concludes the brilliant saga of Narsan Lingala. And I actually looked him up on LinkedIn. Okay, his profile is still active.
Oh my God.
There's these endorsements and recommendations you can give people on LinkedIn. Okay. So he's got one, okay, and then this part of the statement was it's a big sentence, okay? There's one part of it is Narsan is an innovative expert.
He definitely is.
He definitely was, right? It was not a wrong endorsement.
Okay,
it was a full sentence was he was an innovative expert at solving some solutions or some problems at SAP or something. But I just focused on that part because he definitely was innovative. And unfortunately, he's behind bars now.
I'm looking at the press release by the Justice Department for this, and this dude is 57 years old.
He was 57, yeah.
Oh my God. It's crazy. And you would think, like, if he is fed up with his wife, he would have killed her a long time ago. It took him a long.
What's actually sad is he's probably just got his green card or something, going by the age. He just got his freedom. He's like, yes, freedom. I can do whatever I want. And then he goes to prison. That was a life destined to live under like extreme rules and conditions and restrictions, man. That's pretty sad, right? But yeah, I think his girlfriend got a prison sentence too for being for aiding and abetting or something like that.
Yeah. Lingala's conspirator Sandhya Reddy pleaded guilty in April 2019 to her role in the scheme and was sentenced to 63 months in prison. That's like what, 5 years?
5 years and why 5 years and 3 months?
Some of these sentences I feel like this is weird. Like I've read like where somebody murdered somebody and they were sentenced to 183 years of life in prison. Like, what's the logic behind? So okay, now me being even weirder than the average human being, I went and researched on why that is the case.
So it's like 5 consecutive life sentences or something like that.
There's actually a reasoning because that's the way you limit that person's ability to get any sort of parole.
Oh, okay.
Because they have a fundamental right to have access to a parole hearing. But if your sentence is pushed so widely out, like, it's, 183 years. So midway to your sentence means like 80 years later is when you get your parole hearing. So
Interesting.
Yeah, so something along
those lines. It's like what, if you believe in rebirth, it's like what, 3 lifetimes?
It's true.
That sucks, dude.
Oh my God.
I mean, crazy, right? I have you heard of statements in India where you're like, hey, a software engineer just hires a hitman to take out someone? I don't know, maybe there is, but I haven't really come across something like that.
I'm like thinking, how did he go about that process of like hiring? What would you do if you want to hire a hitman in the US? Like,
I'd go to Craigslist. I would go to Craigslist. You find everything you need there, dude. Hell, you got a puppy out of Craigslist, dude.
See, getting a puppy is different. Okay? A dog is like a hitman and a dog. They're like an opposite end of the spectrum.
Dude, have you gone to Craigslist and checked what I'll get there? I just randomly looked at it a couple of weeks back, right? I can buy a python. I can buy a python in freaking Rhode Island and have it home in a couple of hours from Craigslist.
Oh.
Now, if you had to go the normal route, where would you buy a python from, Sanjay?
I don't know if I should be judging.
No, right?
I don't know if I should be judging Rhode Island or Craigslist at this point.
There were less dogs and more reptiles, dude. That was pretty funny. Ever since you told me you got a puppy out of Craigslist, I was like, oh, let me go see what is there. I was like one old dog. That's it. Everything else was like iguanas and bearded dragons. I was like, wow, where do people get these pets from in the first place?
So Craigslist had this thing section called relationships or like something like that. They stopped the thing now because of like there's just so much porn content in it. But like there was a time
looking for pets.
No, so there's a section that I really liked reading. It was like section called platonic, and you would see random messages of people. Oh, hey, I saw you at the bar today wearing a blue tux shirt, and I really wanted to get your phone number and I couldn't. So if you see this message, please text me. Like random.
Damn.
People like putting random messages.
Shit, you need to be really aware of what you wore then, right? I can't remember what I wore like yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. And it turns out like, but it is funny to read. Like, this.
So it's like old. It's like the previous version of Reddit because people use Reddit for that now. There's like so many forums on Reddit, but like just random stuff.
Yeah, Reddit
Like what
is like
Redditors for Redditors, R for R and stuff. That's like randomly post stuff. Hey, then I want to go for a hike on this day. I was like, why would a random person contact you to do a random activity that involves taking you away from civilization? Apparently, he edited it and said he found a hiking buddy, so I'm wrong.
Maybe that's how Narsan found the hitman guy.
What are the odds that guy had to be a cop, dude?
It comes back to this narrative, right? We are literally killing our own vibe by saying all of this stuff and talking about these stories because we don't seem to be that smart as we portray ourselves to be. All right, cool. So let's, speaking of which, let's move on to the next one.
The next one, which this is the cool Indian American that you told me about the other day.
Yep.
Tell me about this guy, Sanjay. What has he done?
So,
and why is he on our list?
This person's very interesting. His name is Vincent Xavier Palathingal, and what got his attention, what got my attention about him was I don't know. You might have heard about it when the January 6th riots happened in Congress, like in DC. A lot of news outlets picked up this person who was waving the Indian flag and the American flag in front of it. They're like, who is this guy?
We had Indian representation at the riots. Hell yeah.
He definitely did. And so it turns out it is this person called Vincent Xavier Palathingal, who's a resident somewhere near DC or Fairfax,
Virginia. I looked him up after you told me.
Oh my. And he was a Republican Party member, obviously, and he felt that he needed to.
No way, Republican.
In his own words, like on what he was doing at Capitol Hill, he felt that American patriots from so many other nations and races believed there was massive voter fraud that happened, and he joined the rally yesterday in solidarity with Trump. And it was supposed to be a peaceful protest, and we were exercising our rights. I mean, walking into Congress with guns and stuff like definitely sounded a lot of.
He actually said peaceful protest.
Yeah, he actually
he used
did.
the words peaceful.
You won't believe the crazy thing is that I was researching about this guy, and he's actually a pretty active member in the local community in Fairfax County. Like, this is somebody who is advocating for STEM education.
Wow.
And stuff like he's been living.
So the
here.
future of America is in his hands. Teach him young, I say.
A crazy fact for
I actually found something funny about him too. After you told me, I looked him up, right? So this is a big YouTube video.
Okay.
Indian politicians started tweeting against Vincent. Okay.
Of course, obviously.
They were like, this guy's wrong. This is one war, or this is one protest we didn't need to be a part of. And then Shashi Tharoor, dear boy Shashi, he's like, what is this? I'm paraphrasing right now. It's like, this is not acceptable. He's brought down the name of India and stuff. And the video goes, okay. The next photo in that video montage is Shashi Tharoor having lunch or dinner with Vincent in US.
Oh my God. You cannot
Apparently Vincent's like in the board of like several trade organizations and stuff. So when Shashi Tharoor came, they met and he's having a nice meal with him. And those guys who made the video put it right after this.
Oh,
I was like, it's like Shashi Tharoor's like, if he's not involved in every controversy, he feels like FOMO. It's like, oh my God, I need to be a part of that. I need to be a part of that too.
I mean, like I've always questioned his idea of even joining politics. Like, the dude literally had the smartest thing. He went to one of the best colleges in India when he was UN Deputy Under Secretary General and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, Kofi Annan's, right? I think.
Yeah, and
he came to my school, dude. When I was in high school, he spoke.
Wow,
very eloquent guy, man. He's a very eloquent and intelligent man, which is why it pains me to see him doing stupid shit like this. And he could have just kept quiet, right? He could have just kept quiet. I mean, if you know you have a photo eating food with that dude, why do you have to put a tweet out?
Well, in his defense, I don't think he had any clue about this. Like, you have all these like celebrities and filmstars that come.
In his defense, Vincent's name was actually Vincent Palathingal first. He changed it to Vincent Xavier. So Shashi must have thought it's probably some other dude, not my friend Palathingal,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Unfortunately, they both are one and the same. And
that sucks. But
like we've got, forget Indian, let's go a little more specific. We have Keralite representation at the riots. That's insane, dude. Can you think about it? That's freaking insane.
Okay, now there's like a sub informational piece about this. This person, Mr. Palathingal, was serving as the vice president of FOMA in Fairfax County. Now, FOMA is the Federation of Malayali Associations of Americas. So this
Americas.
is like
Let's not limit ourselves to just America.
So this is like an association of Malayali associations in America.
Nice.
And I think we need to do a future
Wait,
episode
do we
on
have
this.
a Malayali association in Mexico?
We probably do. Like
that would be interesting, right?
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting.
Like Joes and Jose running a team.
Brothers in arms. Oh man, that's crazy. We have to do a future episode on these like Indian related associations here in the US.
Yeah, around the world. Yeah.
Ton of them. Like there's a ton of them. Disclaimer, I used to be part of one of these associations and I was pretty actively involved because like
what is the name of this? FOMA?
Oh, like I'm going to burn a lot of bridges if I say that name right now.
No, I'm curious. Let's educate everyone.
Okay, so the name of the association was Organization of Hindu Malayalis.
OM.
OHM, it sounds pretty fancy.
Very specific type of Malayalis, but
like they wanted to be different. The others was what I think it was called Kala.
Christian
Kerala. No, it's Kerala Association of Los Angeles. Yeah, so the Kala, it's like a creative name, right?
But at least you guys have a cooler acronym or abbreviation, whatever. Yeah. OM.
Kala was pretty cool as well. Like, yeah.
Hindu Malayalis. So if there was a Christian Malayali, you wouldn't let him in?
No, see, okay, that is the funny thing, okay? All the board members, like people who are part of the executive board, were all Hindus, okay? But
why
all
did you Hindus in air quotes?
Well, that's a discussion for another episode entirely. We'll be totally deviating from topic, but the crazy thing, okay, this association is all supposedly like kinds of Hindus. There's like a couple of non-Hindu folks, but all of the sponsors for all of the events are all Christians or like Muslims,
and they're okay.
Or non-Malayalis. It doesn't matter because none of the Malayalis have any money. But
wow, and they're okay sponsoring your events.
Oh yeah, because like you're talking about like real estate agents and CPAs and stuff like that. So for them, it's like a mutual benefit thing.
It's fine. I don't want membership. I just want 15% when I sell this house.
Boom, exactly. Give me one of your association guys, and I get 5% on that $1 million house in California.
Okay. Yeah.
Boom. Yeah, very good.
That sounds like something a lot of people would do.
Yeah. So
nice. Have you considered joining FOMA?
Maybe now that
has FOMO hit you yet?
See, that's the whole idea behind this podcast. Get popular.
Dude, I'm sure you'll like 5 episodes down the lane. I'll be doing an episode alone saying Sanjay has left to be the new president of FOMA. It's just me doing these episodes.
I mean, that's the end goal. Need to be president.
The president of FOMA. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, all the best with that, man. I hope this podcast gets you to that height.
We'll see.
Or loads. I don't know which one it is. So,
okay.
The next one on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of FBI's top 10 wanted?
I mean, I'm assuming what it is.
This is a list where you've had like drug lords, terrorists, criminals, all these great personalities featured on it. Okay. The current top 10 most wanted list. Okay. If you go open it, they haven't really ranked it, but one of the photos you're going to see is of an Indian, Badresh Kumar Chetan Bhai Patel.
God damn.
Top 10 most wanted list in America. We've got one of us in that list.
Represent, yo.
Dude, when this popped up during my research, okay, I just lost my shit. I was like, wait, wasn't this the list that had like all these drug lords and Osama and all these people on it, right? And we've got this guy. So basically, he... I think he was in his early 20s when he and his wife moved to US. Right? Okay. They were working at a Dunkin' Donuts that was owned by a relative. Before the incident took place, people heard them arguing, and it seemed like the wife wanted to go back to India.
Okay.
But our boy Badresh Kumar didn't want to. He wanted to stay and pursue the American dream, and it escalated, and he freaking stabbed her to death with a kitchen knife. And he just packed up his bags, took a cab, and went to a Newark train station. And that's the last people have seen him. There's $100,000 reward if you find Badresh Kumar or let the FBI know about his whereabouts. He's been missing since 2017. A good part of 5 to 6 years, he's been on the run. FBI has not been able to find him.
Okay, so I have a weird question. This might sound odd, but okay, this sounds like a typical murder or like a crime of passion. Why would this be a top 10 most wanted fugitive
Because I think
person?
they still haven't been able to solve it. Usually, your standard
Oh,
murders
okay.
or your whatever it is, right? Things that are not premeditated or even premeditated ones, right? It's been very easy for the cops to actually solve that really quickly. But
Okay. Okay.
think about it, right? We've got all the resources in the world in these agencies, and you haven't been able to track down one dude who stabbed his wife.
Okay.
For
That's
all we know,
crazy.
he's still in New Jersey. Just camouflaged in those communities that changed his name or something, grew a beard.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably don't know. Like, yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Hey, but yo, we are on the top 10 most wanted list as well.
Top 10
Boom.
most wanted list. I'm pretty sure he must have come on one of those tourist visas or something and just decided to overstay. And I think his wife was like sick of the life and wanted to go back.
At least smart guy. He moved right in time after Bin Laden died. So I think, he is like one of the top spot.
Top spot. I mean, Bin Laden is probably looking down and like, what is this? What I had to do and what this guy had to do.
I swear.
Right?
Oh my god, no offense to 9/11. I mean,
Yeah, no
but
offense at all. I'm like, who quantifies these crimes as worthy of top 10 wanted?
exactly, right? It comes back to that question.
Like, that was the magnitude, the suffering, and the pain that a lot of people went through. It was there, and they did the whole operation and killed him and stuff. And this guy's just waltzed in there, he's just like stabbed someone. Is like, hey guys,
Top 10. Damn. Yeah, I know.
does
Real
this
had it all.
count as EB1 featured on the list?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, let's see.
He's
Let's go back to
satisfied
the.
one of the criteria.
Yeah, for sure. Like, he's nationally recognized. That's there. Like, that's one criteria.
Publications have been written about him,
Boom. That's second. And
and
what's
he's
it?
received recognition that he's in the top of his field.
So, he might be eligible for the EB1.
Exceptional talent, right there, guys.
Boom. So, folks,
Well,
that's
USC
definitely.
didn't really specify, right, what the talent
Yeah,
needs to be for.
it's not like they've said that murder isn't a criteria.
Isn't.
We should definitely go for that. Maybe we should put in a request or something like USCIS. Can this person come?
No, so if he gets arrested in prison and he self-files, he's got EB1 in like a week or something, dude. 1 year.
Dude, it'll
Oh,
be crazy.
actually, the January 2023 visa bulletin came out, and
Okay.
now there's a waiting period for EB1s too.
As usual, it's just for India and China, right?
It's not current anymore.
Oh yeah, I remember. It's like Feb 22 or something like that, right?
Yeah, but a little bit of a wait. Obviously, if it's wait is there, once it started, means it's just going to keep increasing.
It's just
But
crazy.
right. So moving on to the last one.
Mm-hmm.
This was a crime that I was actually pretty fascinated by because of the magnitude of the crime and the events that took place for the police to actually crack it and capture the dude. In the town of Berkeley, that was California, exactly. There was this guy, his name is Lucky Reddy Bali Reddy. Okay. He was an engineer, did his bachelor's in Osmania in Hyderabad, I think. And then came to Berkeley to do a master's in chemical engineering.
Wow.
Started off by having an Indian restaurant in downtown Berkeley. It's called Pasand Madras. Okay. He used the profits made from that restaurant to buy rundown apartments. He had close to 1,000 rundown apartments. And by the year 2000, his net worth was $69 million.
Wow.
He was earning $1 million per month. And I don't know if I'm being very optimistic. If someone from Berkeley is like tuning in, Raj Properties and Everest Properties that have almost a huge number of rundown apartments there are owned by him and his family, right? So
wait, even today,
I looked it up. You will see in the comments section that you will see this surname. This Reddy helped. His name is Lucky Reddy Bali Reddy, right? So you'll see that specific surname also in the comments saying he helped me out get this apartment, some negative, some positive, but it's still there. His family is still in town. And it's natural because he used to get a lot of people from his town in India to come here to work in the US, right? So I think one of his sons had a software firm or a consultancy, and he used to get people from India by telling the government that they're going to work in his son's software firm, but instead use them as workers in his restaurant, pay them minimal wage.
Oh my God.
He would take their tips. So when I realized from our previous episode, we're not so bad compared to Lucky Reddy Bali Reddy. He would steal their tips. But that's not the thing, right? He took his wealth that he did here and he went back to his village and he actually developed his village, right? And they started like respecting him like so much. He became like a demigod there, okay? So he would get people here illegally. He would give them below minimum wage and, make a lot of money on them. That was one. The second thing was he would get underage girls and then force them into like prostitution and stuff.
So it's like India's own Jeffrey Epstein.
Pretty much. Pretty much in
Oh
Berkeley,
my.
not even an island, in Berkeley. So
This is
how it
just
happened
crazy.
was one day, I think one 18-year-old girl who I think spent the night at Lucky Reddy's place came back home, saw that her two roommates, one was a 17-year-old girl whose name was Shanti, and her 15-year-old
Okay.
sister were passed out
Oh my
or
God.
dead. Okay, she didn't know, so she made a big hue and cry. Other Indian workers there, probably relatives of this dude, they came to address the thing, and they're like, "We'll take care of it and stuff." So outside there was a van. Okay, there was one
Okay.
resident of Berkeley driving through. I forgot her name. Her surname is
Okay.
Pool, if I'm not wrong, right?
Oh yeah,
She
it's
sees these two Indian
Marcia
dudes.
Poole.
Yes, she sees these two Indian dudes carrying a carpet, and then out of nowhere, she sees a leg outside that carpet. Just one leg.
This is like out of a movie or something.
Exactly, right? And then she stops, she makes a big hue and cry, but they're like, they keep pushing away. She stops, she makes a scene, she calls the passersby to come. They call the cops and everything. And then some of the passersby finally stopped, called the cops. By this time, the Indian people who were like carrying the body, they ran away. Okay, they unroll the carpets and stuff, and they see the bodies.
So
And
they
they call the
dropped the
18.
carpet like with the person and just ran off.
I don't know if they dropped it, if it was like placed down or something, but they just ran off.
Oh
And
my
the
God.
worst thing was that 17-year-old girl was pregnant.
Jesus Christ.
They've so the police come. Okay, the Berkeley police come, and Shanti is there, right? I think not Shanti, the 18-year-old, I forgot her name, who found this thing. They question her, right? And
Okay.
guess who they call as a translator, because that girl cannot speak English.
I don't know. When
They
I have
call
no
Lucky
idea.
Reddy to translate.
Holy wait, what timeline are we talking? When did this happen? Around what year?
1999, November 24th, 1999.
What the?
Yeah. This guy, he obviously translates the wrong stuff, convinces them it's all fine, and got some random dude to come in and say that he's that girl's father and stuff, and everything is okay. And when the autopsy came in, they found out that the building was not under regulation, and the two people died out of carbon monoxide poisoning. And when they did an investigation, they found that there were like 60 other leaks or something in the building, and they let it go as an accidental death, and he was let go.
What the
Later
hell?
on, I found this in an article. Okay, later on, a local, I think one of the schools there,
Okay.
as part of the project, these two girls, I think it was two girls, they did a piece, investigative piece,
Okay.
asking around about the death and everything. And then the questions that they asked, like, why were two 17 and 15-year-old girls not in school? What were they doing working? These questions raised a lot of media scrutiny.
Good.
And
God.
a joint operation mounted by Berkeley Immigration Services, Department of Justice, and FBI finally cracked the case and arrested Lucky Reddy Bali Reddy.
On what counts? Like what? Finally, what?
On immigration fraud, and I'm sure the underage
Human
sexual
trafficking.
thing.
Yeah.
That was also there. Can you believe
Good
it?
God.
And
This is
when
just nuts.
reporters went to his village in India, right? There's still banners and stuff praising him even after they found out about all this.
Okay, dude, I'm reading about his Wikipedia entry. He was released from prison in 2008.
That's right. He spent all of 8 years for this crime, for immigration fraud, for raping underage girls, for forcing them into like sexual slavery, for not following building codes and stuff. And all these crimes, he spent 8 years, out of which, when he was in prison, there was a custom made mansion being built for him.
And can you imagine he moved into that mansion that had been custom built while he was imprisoned? So let's say he moved in 2008. That property alone is probably worth multi-millions. Like,
yeah, I think when he died, he was worth like almost 80 to 90 million dollars or something when he died.
Jesus Christ.
They didn't freeze his assets, they didn't take anything. He spent all of 8 years. If you remember episode 1, right? The people who did those wire fraud and all, they were like committed like 25 years in prison with like this. But this dude spent only 8 years for all the crimes he did.
So this guy will probably come at the top of the list.
If you look at that Wikipedia page, right, you'll see a documentary or something. He was the shocking story of human trafficking in United States. Slaves of Berkeley. There's something written about him once.
His case reportedly inspired changes to California's human trafficking laws in 2005.
I think something positive came out of this, but he did this, dude. I would say in my books, he got away with it.
Of course he did. Like, if he spent only 8 years in prison and he's coming out as a millionaire, multi-millionaire, that's just insane. Like, oh my God. I think that's an L for the justice system in the US. Oh. Man, that's crazy.
Before I found his case, I thought Bhadresh Kumar was on top of a list.
For sure. This guy
But
beats all of them.
when I stumbled onto this dude's profile and his story and everything, and the more I read, I was just in constant disbelief. Like my mouth was just open. I was like, "What? He actually got away with this for so long?" Have you seen that Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix TV show?
I've seen bits and pieces of the show. I've not
So
watched it.
it
In its
reminded me of
entirety.
an episode from that. It's like he was there was a black boy that he had convinced to come into his house, right?
Okay.
And he had lobotomized him so that he would stay. And then he was going to like
Jeez.
kill him, and he somehow got away, okay? And the cops came and saw him because the neighbors made a fuss and everything, and they handed him back to Dahmer because Dahmer convinced him that he was his boyfriend.
Oh my
They literally
God.
handed the victim back to his captor, and they went away. This reminded me of that. I was like, wow. Especially when they asked him to translate what this kid was saying.
Yeah, right. Like that's so many things out of like sound like from a movie. I'm surprised nobody's actually wrote a script or something like about it.
But
This
yeah.
definitely. I think this dude comes at the
Yeah,
top.
this guy is on definitely on top of the list. He passed away a couple of years ago. I think he died in very recently actually, November 8th, 2021.
Good riddance.
Exactly 1 year ago at the age of 84.
Oh my God. Can you imagine somebody living a full life up to 84, a multi-millionaire?
Yeah.
And he just had like 8 years in prison.
The only thing I think probably would have been inconvenient for him was that he had to get himself registered as on the sexual offenders list.
He had plenty of money to get away with any of that stuff. God, that's crazy.
But yeah,
like imagine he can just buy like an entire city limit worth of area and like, oh, I'm a registered sex offender. That's
I mean, I'm pretty sure Berkeley is pretty heavily populated with his family members now, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you mentioned,
another parallel reference that I drew was it reminded me of Osho in Seattle, Antelope.
Oh yeah. I thought it was in Oregon, right?
Was it in Oregon? Okay, I know the place called Antelope. I thought it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember something about that. Yeah.
This reminded me of that too. How they just came and they just took over the entire town, and this was another case like that. But that brings my list to an end of crimes committed by Indian. I'm sure there's more, but these were the noteworthy ones that I captured and thought we'd speak about.
So lucky ready, yeah.
Pretty heavy stuff, right?
I swear it was pretty heavy, and I think like that dude probably tops the list of like some of the craziest things that Indian immigrants have done in the US.
For sure, dude. Lucky Reddy is number one on the list. I think our FBI's most wanted, Mr. Patel, probably come second, but number one is Lucky Reddy.
Yeah, I mean, you had what, the FBI, the Department of Justice,
Berkeley
the DHS, Berkeley Police, Homeland Security, all of these guys chasing me in this case. So the others are like limited to one or two departments.
You got lucky.
But yeah, thanks so much for all the research on this, man. It was super awesome, man.
Pretty interesting first 2 episodes, right? I mean, I was pretty fascinated at what all I found out. So, listeners, if you've got something interesting like this that you think would blow our minds off, let us know. We'd be more than happy to take your recommendation and do an episode on it. I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of information on what immigrants have been up to in US. So if you guys know of something we don't, let us know, and we'd be more than happy to do an episode on it. Also, if you've got any feedback on how the episode went, or something you liked, something you didn't like, let us know.
You can also leave us any feedback on any of the streaming platforms that you listen your podcast on. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google, any of those. And if you're one of those people who does not like leaving reviews or sending us emails, we haven't set up a regular mailbox yet, but hopefully in the next few episodes we'll be doing that, and you could send us your hate mail as well.
Why don't we give them a sneak peek into what we've got scheduled for our next episode?
Yeah, so it's the end of the year, and we figured a good idea would be just to have a summary of all immigration related news and bills that happened in the United States last year. This includes, some discussions about different bills that are, played around with different congressmen and women. Funny enough, none of them passed. It's and of course, some of those flashy, sensational news things like Ron DeSantis sending a busload of immigrants to Massachusetts, and a recent Christmas gift to the VP by, I don't know which governor sent that.
We're still trying to find that out, I think.
Okay, yeah, you can find
Basically,
that out.
We've got some travel hacks for you as well. How to get free trips
yep,
to the Northeast.
If you want to go from Florida to Massachusetts, maybe Texas to DC, there's this.
Just pretend not to speak English in Florida.
Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Hoping to see you next week as well.
Yep. Take care. Thank you.